Good evening. My name is Kanisha, and today I want to talk about initiatives and referendums in Arizona. This is going to be for U.S. and Arizona Constitution for Teacher Candidates class. So today I'm explaining how initiatives and referendum work in Arizona and why they are so important and a central part of our democracy. These tools give citizens real power to shape laws so they get to decide what law will be in the state. And they just reflect the values that are built into Arizona Constitution. So let's explore what is an initiative. So an initiative is when citizens create or propose their own law or constitution amendment. It begins when people become the lawmaker. So that means that the power moves away from legislation. When the power moves away from legislation, you see more citizens proposing ideas that may have not always been a highlight of the lawmaking policies that legislation wants. So what is a referendum? A referendum is where voters get to approve or reject laws. They are responding to the legislation actions. Maybe they have created new laws, right? And they can affect their community. So this is where they can say, I agree or I disagree, and this law should be in Arizona or it should not be. This law ensures that there is a public oversight. So how are initiatives created? Initiatives are created by citizens drafting a proposal. So they draft a proposal law. They get a petition circulated. Okay. Once that petition is circulated, they can get signatures collected. Once they have enough signatures collected, that law then goes to the ballot to see that if it becomes final. So how do how are they created? Legislators pass a law. However, in this instance, we see that the citizens file a petition. The signatures pause the law. So once we collect enough signatures, it will put the law into a halt. Then voters will decide if this law becomes final. So when we're comparing and contrast and we're looking for similarities and difference in these two lawmaking methods, we see that the similarities are the petition process, right? Both laws need you to form a petition. We then need to collect signatures. And then we need to gather a public vote, a ballot. So these are the key similarities of an initiative and referendum. The differences are initiatives create new laws. So when we say initiatives create new laws, we understand that they are more proactive, whereas referendum challenge existing laws. And a referendum is reactive. So those are the differences of the two. So what are the pros of initiatives? Well, when we explore the pros of initiatives, the one major benefit of initiatives is that it allows citizens to raise issues that lawmakers may avoid. So this is not a topic that they like to discuss. This encouraged the public to get involved in real life concerns. Real community concerns then become heard. Some of the cons of initiatives, when we're exploring the cons, many times influence of wealthy groups hinders the initiatives because not all voices are heard. If they don't have access to money or they're marginalized groups, then their concerns are not addressed. Also, it costs a lot of money to create a campaign to make a change. And then oversimplification, right? Sometimes these policies can be complex, and sometimes they're not. And when they're not, it's just a simple yes or no. So let's talk about some pros of referendums. So a pro of referendum is that it gives voter a direct check on legislative power. So it kind of puts the power back into the citizens. They allow the public to challenge laws that they believe are harmful and unpopular. So this is what we call strengthening accountability within our government and the government officials. When we think of some cons, well, some of the cons is that it delays policies. So a policy may take a longer time to get approved. It's confusing language. Some people don't understand what the policy even means. And then voter fatigue, right? Sometimes these type of voting, right, to change a law for referendums can feel overwhelming for the voters. So let's talk about direct democracy in Arizona. So when we think of direct democracy in Arizona, we think of the progressive era roots. That is where it all began. Arizona was committed to direct democracy. So when the Constitution was created around the progressive era, this is when people wanted more of a public control and less of a corporate control. The we are the people became what we see today. Making changes, being able to vote for a law, approve a law, reject a law, keeping power in the hands of the people. So this is how these two law amendments and changes, right, became a deep part of Arizona. So I would like to close with initiatives and referendums empower voters to keep government accountable. These are the central to Arizona's political identity, and it shows how strongly the state values public involvement, because real change starts with the public being able to help create and change the laws that we see. I'm Kanisha Williams, and I thank you for listening to my discussion about initiatives and referendums. Thank you.